Here we are in the BNB Chain and Infium Founders Academy with the presentation from the HUSL by Brian Hazan and Matt, who are the co-founders. And it's a metaverse play that I'm really excited to hear about. Welcome, the HUSL founders.
Thanks, Mariana. So we are the HUSL. I'm Brian Hazan. I'll introduce shortly. My partner is Matt Shellhaas and Sapphire Adizes. What is the HUSL? So, at the HUSL, it's our belief that Web3 really represents an opportunity for creators to engage directly with fans in a way that disinherits traditional middlemen and empowers collectors to own and participate, the way we like to call it, the moments that make history in real time as they occur. Now, the way that we kind of address the opportunity rather than solve a problem is by providing a no-code ecosystem built by creators for creators, which helps artists and entertainers create and grow their Web3 audience. When we take a look at the addressable market for Web3 metaverse and entertainment companies, when you take a look at the digital currency market relative to metaverse tokens, the opportunity is 9.6 billion, pretty staggering. When we take a look at mobile gaming, and we'll get into some of our mobile gaming verticals a little bit later, it represents $92 billion, literally more than half of the $184 billion gaming market. And, we talked a little bit yesterday about McKinsey and their opinion of the metaverse, and they're valuing the opportunity at just better than 5.4 trillion, which is an absolutely incredible, staggering figure. When we look at the metaverse real estate market, over the last, year, really, we've seen more than $3 billion in real estate sales within the metaverse. The top 10 projects have generated, nearly $2 billion in sales. And the digital real estate market's expected to increase by another 5 billion just over the next 3 years at a compounded annual growth rate of more than 61%, which is incredible. When we take a look at what's going on within the world of gaming and the method by which the majority of revenues are derived, it's in-app purchases, right? In-game purchases, buying skins, buying various different tools to play games or cheat or get ahead a level faster, right? And in 2020, global audiences spent more than $54 billion on additional in-game content. By 2025, we believe the value of those in-game purchases is going to surpass $75 billion. When we take a look at some of our competitors, we match up in a lot of ways against, some of the 800-pound gorillas in this space, Other Side, Decentraland, and Sandbox as it relates to the metaverse presence. But we also offer a unique music marketplace, which pits us against projects like Audius, Sound XYZ, etc., as well as we're developing some pretty innovative generative music technology using AI algorithms that we've been working on really for the better part of a year, which I believe are only going to be enhanced by really new innovations with GPT, et cetera. And we, look toward, Hume and Soundmint as two of our biggest competitors in that space. And when we take a look at kind of what's going on in the space, there's nobody that really checks all the boxes. There's some metaverses that are doing some pretty interesting things around play-to-earn gaming. Some of them are doing concerts and shifting into the entertainment arena. Many of them are, singular storyline video games that don't offer any kind of brand interactions or any kind of opportunity for creators to sell items or be engaged in the development or the building of the universe. When we look at, a lot of these, music companies are out there, they're selling NFTs, they're onboarding new users, but what they're not doing is they're not creating any kind of resale, so that the opportunity that a lot of the creators that are minting on those sites are promised with, royalties every time their NFTs sell over and over aren't being fulfilled because those brands aren't doing a great job at captivating audiences to buy and collect and trade those relative to simply just holding them and, following and supporting, some of their favorite artists. And, when we look at some of the generative music companies that are out there that are doing some of the things that we do, that I believe that we do better, I put Soundmint up here just to kind of make the point that here's a company that does something very similar to one of our ancillary side businesses that fetched a $31 million valuation, raising $2 million last year. It didn't even have a marketplace that was selling their product on OpenSea, right? So there's a particular value right now on AI and music and its ability to assist in composition and create generative music NFTs. And we're ahead of the curve on that. Now, our solution in terms of, how we address some of the different market pain points and solve user problems within the various different, metaverses, some of those problems being, frankly, no one's using them. I alluded to some of the problems within music NFTs in terms of they're not being as liquid a market as some of the other PFP projects, et cetera. We've created a high fidelity, massive multi-open player role-playing game or metaverse versus some of the lower poly games like Sandbox or Decentraland or many of the web-based applications that are out there, because we believe that entertainment was intended to be, consumed in HD with spatial audio in the, highest fidelity possible. And that's the experience that we create. We've also created a no-code NFT marketplace that allows our creators to create NFTs, share with multiple users, and create new music NFTs all under 2.5 or 3 minutes. We've attacked the market by creating a suite of mobile games, which we'll discuss a little bit later. We've created a stake-weighted voting governance application to give our users and participants in our ecosystem say in the direction of the project and say in the type of content that we put forth. We offer the opportunity for virtual immersive events within our 3D metaverse. We have created some pretty innovative techniques or tools, really. For instance, our no-code 3D Shopify storefront solutions, which allow any one of the 2.9 million Shopify owners out there to buy a store within the Hustleverse, buy an NFT that enables them access to a dashboard, which then allows them to choose any or all of their inventory to be featured within either an ATM style kiosk or in a virtual storefront, which they can design that can be powered by an AI or trainable shopkeeper NPC. We're also working on some pretty innovative Web3 music technology using artificial intelligence algorithms, which I'll get into in a little bit. And we're leveraging generative AI solutions to create some interactive experiences, beginning now with, as I mentioned, some of those NPCs that guide you through the purchasing process or talk through different features of some of the products within our stores. And we've also got tour guides. They're going to be able to guide you to the various different experiences and some of the notable landmarks within our metaverse. First, we'll take a look at the music marketplace. So big thing is it's free to join and mint. There's absolutely no coding required. There are no minting fees. They're passed on to the buyers. The revenue is going to be paid instantly via smart contract, which is a big pain point for the music industry. Just over the last 5 years, there's literally been 46 million instances where musicians weren't paid properly because of missing or wrongly encoded metadata. And certainly, NFTs, and their payment mechanisms solve a big problem there. We are Ethereum and Polygon compatible. We offer the ability to share revenue with an unlimited number of contributors. We can upload MP3, WAV, MIDI, JPEG, PNG, you get it. We've got an affiliate program that allows our users to use our link generator tool to be paid to promote, either their work or the platform. They're paid 1% on any creator or collector that joins the platform in perpetuity on all their buys and all their sells, and then it puts frictionlessly out of the Hustle's commission so that it's a great experience for our users. Our marketplace also, and this is a pretty interesting thing, enables users to create NFTs that are playable as levels or game pieces within any number of our Hustle rhythm-based mobile games and mini games within the metaverse as well. And our custody is all self-custody. Your keys, your coins, we allow you to connect to your favorite Web3 wallet like MetaMask, Trust Wallet, etc. Oops. Now, I'm going to give you a brief introduction into just how easy it is to use our user mint marketplace. So it's as simple as clicking create NFT, finding your file. In this case, I'm creating an NFT for Graph. He's one of our featured artists. I use the capture, let him know that I'm not a robot, upload the file. This normally takes anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds. Sometimes it's a little bit faster. Shortly after this, it'll ask whether or not I'd like to upload any level of cover art. In this case, I'm creating a MP4 music video type NFT. I'm going to go ahead and skip the upload of the cover and go right to upload the file. Now we're going to go ahead and simply choose a name for the NFT. In this case, we'll call it Graph NFT. You can provide a description. Here's where users will include, anything that's needed to know for the purchaser of that NFT, anything interesting about a campaign or chances to win or any kind of utilities that are involved. In this case, we'll just use this is my first NFT. Go ahead and create that. We're going to mint it on the Ethereum blockchain. Once I've connected my wallet, it allows me to immediately mint right to Ethereum. If I was connected via Polygon, it would detect that and we'd be minting on Polygon. I approve the terms and conditions and guarantee that I have the rights to publish this work as my own. And then you're simply going to sign 2 transactions and boom, you're minted on the page, available to be, found immediately and paid instantly as soon as purchases occur. Now, in this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mint at 0.1 ETH. We're going to set our price. We're going to make this a 1 of 1. Here's where we would add contributors. For instance, if we had a co-producer or co-artist or a manager or an artist maybe that created our cover art, whatever it is, here's our opportunity to go ahead and add them. And you can add, unlimited number of users, which is, really, really useful for, a lot of the collaboration that goes on between producers these days. Here we set our price, we post our listing and sign a transaction. And now we've gone back to our platform where we can go ahead and find our NFT. There it is. Oops, looks like we refreshed. And remember, we skipped the cover art, so it's populating with that little icon, but it'll bring us into our NFT and allow us immediately to go ahead and play and enjoy that, whatever it is, whether it's a movie, whether it's, music, a music video, whatever. And it's that easy. The video took less than 3 minutes and a creator with virtually no tech savvy and no coding experience was able to create an NFT, which can now be playable within our mobile games and gives them access to a broad range of utilities within our metaverse. Now, kind of the next part of our ecosystem, and by large in part the most critical, the Hustleverse. So, we believe that the Hustleverse is the nexus of Web3 entertainment and play-to-earn gaming. And, the interesting thing is, it offers the opportunity for us to allow our users to demonstrate their content via concerts, via billboards. They can create immersive games and different challenges and Easter egg hunts and different content for people to engage with. Here's an example of one of our trailers, just so you can get a sense of what our graphics look like and get a sense of, oops, there we go. I hope that's coming through for everybody.
Just missing the sound there, Brian.
Say it again.
Just missing the sound there, Brian.
Yeah, I'm not really certain how to adjust that on Zoom.
If you go up on your view options, there's an option that you can have sound with video. at the top of the screen.
Record. This is a look at the downtown HUSLverse. This is our catwalk area and retail district. Here's a look at what our storefronts can look like and the flagship HUSL store.
I still can't really believe that I get to play to all of you people. It's such a cool feeling, thank you.
In terms of what one of our open field concert areas look like,
it's been a real
so you
pleasure.
can
I
get a
had so much
sense of
fun.
what that would look and feel like as a user.
Have a good night. I hope the traffic's not shit.
One of our
And
on-screen
I'll see you
concerts.
soon, yeah? This is for all the lovers.
In this case, we used a L Goulding recording for this video. However, we don't have a relationship with her.
You're the light, you're the night,
think you
you're
get
the
the gist
color
here.
of my blood. You're the cure.
The HUSLverse is broken into 4 quadrants. We've got a land of athletes, land of musicians, land of artists, and of entertainers. Our map is busted up into 10,000 parcels of land, which are ownable, tradable, and buildable for users to interact within the ecosystem. In fact, we've sold our first 5,000 as a proof of concept 500 back in 2022 for an average of around $2,500. They were 2,500 HUSL at the time, and it was give or take like $1.13, $1.14, something like that at the time. And right now we've got about 275 beta users that are actively interacting with the metaverse, testing some of our features, as well as playing our mobile games and competing in contests. Here's a look at some scenes from the HUSLverse. On the top left, you'll see some of our mystery boxes and Easter egg hunt capability. You'll see one of our outdoor, in the middle, one of our outdoor storefronts or tents around the concert area where we're going to have, or we do actually have, one NPC demonstrating now, but we'll have multiple NPCs interacting with users and guiding their shopping experiences. On the top right there, you'll see, it's difficult to see, but one of our Shopify kiosks, which allows any user to buy a kiosk and set it up around one of our concert areas or around their property so that people can buy their stuff. Imagine Etsy type Shopify store sellers, or even some of the musicians that want to link to their Shopify stores and sell some of their concert tickets or merchandise and so forth. We offer, as I mentioned, immersive 3D experiences, realistic spatial audio, Shopify store integration, competitive mini games, which go off daily, code-free world building tools, chat functionality, collaborative music studio for creators to actually play musical virtual instruments together and be able to record those sessions. Content sharing via billboards, concert stages, and video walls, which is important because we're tracking who goes where and we're rewarding the creators that captivate the most audience. Token gated access to events as well as scavenger hunts. Third vertical of our ecosystem is mobile gaming. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think you've seen games like this, but we believe that mobile, given its big opportunity, we'll go back to that first second slide on total addressable market. $92 billion, offers a big opportunity. There's a ton of users that either don't have access to, desktops with, gaming rigs, or even the ability to, play cloud, gaming infrastructure. Whereas these are the users globally that we expect to interact with us more through mobile. So what we've done is created some light mobile games centered around rhythm and trivia and learning that allow people to still interact with our ecosystem, allow us to still onboard users, even in some of those markets where, technical specs, might not work. And I'll just quickly give you a look at each of those three games. First is a rhythm-based dance game. Now, if you own any NFTs from our platform, or potentially any NFTs from any of our whitelisted partners, you'll be able to play those levels as, songs you can listen to, obviously, and play the levels within the game. The next is our Rhythm Hop ball game, which is a simple.
I still believe in your eyes.
Out there.
I just don't care what you've done in your life. Baby, I'll always be here by your side. Don't leave.
We can't hear you, Brian, when you play the music. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. But again, really just providing a little narrative around, how we're utilizing these games to keep our users connected when they're away from the computer. And finally, our trivia game. And you'll see how not smart I am, I think, when I get the second one wrong here. As you can see, you're accruing points and experience toward incentive reward, loyalty-based token rewards within our ecosystem. Oops. The last thing I just want to touch on, because I touched on a little bit on how we're using AI algorithms to generate, new musical composition. We've got a native avatar project, which we're going to be launching really as a proof of concept in how avatar communities and PFP collection communities can interact and have, their own gated areas or clubhouses within the Hustleverse and create unique experiences for their users. And what we did here is we blended, normal generative art, similar typical, think Bored Apes, right? A bunch of pictures with different backgrounds and different features. That's what's going on here. But the interesting wrinkle is we blended that with generative music. So what we did was, and I'll tell you what we did here first, and then I'll show you what it looks like, is we got these producers together. So Sapphire, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, Mike and Keys, who are a legendary producing duo, Alice and Gumboy, another producing duo with over 12 Billboard #1s just over the last 2 years, as well as Danny Boy Styles, who's got a whole host of Grammys, produced The Weeknd's last album, etc. And Sapphire, if you're on, maybe you can, quickly provide a little color on how you guys were able to create the product and how the generative music all works.
Sure thing. I can go ahead and turn on my camera if you'd like. Oh, it wants me to go to settings here. I'm just going to go ahead and do it without the camera if you don't mind, so that way I don't have to come on settings. So yeah, we took some of the world's top producers, Palace and Gunboy, who produced Young Thug, Future, and Danny Boy Styles, produced The Weeknd, and myself. It's gone to the Kanye camp and a few 100 million streams on Spotify. We basically had all of us come together, and in the similar way that Bored Apes creates different attributes of the images that you see, we had all the various producers take various stems, which are basically individual tracks to a song or individual instruments to a song, and everyone provided individual tracks to the song that were then mixed together generatively and created a series of 10,000 different generative pieces of music, which then went along with a series of 10,000 different pieces of generative art. So that basically sums it up, but it is kind of a very, very innovative way of making music, because really for the first time in history, we're able to collaborate with, you know, uh, artificial intelligence to be able to make music in a way that's never been done before, because so many different types of tracks can be mixed together, and you can have one guitar that can go with 1,000 different kick drums, and now we can, in collaboration with all these different producers and artificial intelligence, be able to hear what this guitar would sound like with those different kick drums, and have this kick drum work with all the other different guitars, and really create a series that is a collaboration with technology and some of the greatest producers.
Hey, Cypher, so about how many stems normally go into an instrumental, by the way?
So typically when you have an instrumental, you really split up the different instruments into these categories. You have a kick drum, which is the
I mean, like, how many different stems do you think? 5, 7?
Between 10 and it can go upwards of 100. But in a normal hip hop beat, you'll usually have about maybe 15 to 30.
All right. So here's an example of kind of how you can leverage this to create a ton of music, right? So these producers turned in about 80 different stems, right? So really, almost the equivalent of them each creating, one song. Right now, some of them did a bunch of kick drums, some of them did a bunch of chord progressions, some of them did a bunch of, effects or leads. But the idea is really they turned in the work relative to doing one instrumental each. And from that, we were able to create over 70,000 unique iterations, all completely different, all completely unique. And, I'll give you an idea of what some of those look like and show you what some of these NFTs look like, and then we'll move on, because the great thing about this is every beat is on time, every instrumental, sounds as if it was, personally curated by these producers. And just to give you an idea of the type of money that instrumentals or tracks or beats go for from some of these producers, what do you think Danny Boy Styles or Palace is charging for beats? Ballpark.
Anywhere
50,000.
Yeah, anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000 for these kind of producers, for sure.
Right. So here's an ability for these producers to take all of their stems, all of their best work, put it into these algorithms, and spit out potentially hundreds of thousands of finished songs, which could potentially be worth tens of thousands of dollars for them. So it's really an interesting technology for those types of creators. And in this particular instance, that's who we were looking to engage. So I'll show you one of these and we'll move on, because I know we don't have a lot of time. And as you can see here, the last thing that we blended together with these was the visualizer, which is actually linked to the beat. So it's a very complicated process of pulling the stems, matching them to articles of clothing, creating the beat, and then having them drive this music visualizer that's all placed separately in each one of these NFTs. And users or owners of these NFTs are going to have access to their own personal avatar within the HUSLverse that'll be exclusive to their character, as well as access into gated areas and special events like concerts, both in real life and virtually in the HUSLverse. Now,
Brian, if you don't, go ahead.
Sorry. So, our project is a token project. So back in September of 2021, we launched our token, and what we've done is created a token-based incentive reward model that we think is going to enhance the gaming experience and promote user retention by providing tangible rewards, player engagement, and creating a pretty cool, vibrant in-game economy. So what we allow is for players to develop their land and receive a build multiplier based upon, how well or the degree to which they've, developed their property and created a cool experience for others to enjoy, the amount of hustle that they've staked, the quantity of NFTs they hold or stake, the duration of that staking, XP that's earned as in-game rewards, currency through playing the game or putting time into the games, how many converted affiliate referrals they have, minting or creating music, items, skins, or world, and as a loyalty reward for in-game purchases throughout the ecosystem. So a certain percentage back on everything you spend as in-game currency, which for now is going to be off-chain as Bustle, but we've got plans in our roadmap to make that a tradable currency. Our founding team consists of myself. I've got over 15 years experience largely in Wall Street. For the last 4 years, I've been focused primarily on blockchain startups and private equity within the food industry. My partner, Matt Schellhaas, who's here, who can introduce himself. Matt, are you on?
Hey, guys.
So Matt is an incredible guy. He's a technical trader. He's got entertainment experience. He's somebody that found his way out to Hollywood after college. And Matt, maybe you can share with the team here a little anecdote about your experience coming to Hollywood as a hustler, so to speak, as a creator, trying to find his way, and talk about, you know, that experience and your takeaway from it.
Yeah,
Because it really
absolutely,
contributes
Brian.
to our why, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, kind of being one of these dream chasers that moved from Minnesota to what I call holy weird. I just feel like creatives are some of the most kind of exploited people economically, you know, on the planet. And yeah, I mean, this is really kind of a cool company where, you know, we're trying to really empower artists to, you know, basically have an easier path, like, you know, to self-promotion and realizing their you know, their dreams. And you know, when I was out in Hollywood, I was a magician and a musician that you know, made a living for a while as a street performer on Venice. So this is you know, something that is really near and dear to me, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, Matt also did some hosting on the E! Channel alongside Ryan Seacrest. You know, share some videos interviewing the Kardashians before they were famous, etc. So
yeah, it wasn't too long ago where she was a hustler trying to make it.
Right. Right, and Matt's got an incredible, you know, network in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry. Our other co-founder, Jason Hernandez, has about 20 years experience in finance and banking. Incredible, you know, project manager, and Sapphire, who you just met. We're backed up by a stellar development team and a host of biz dev professionals and music industry professionals that help us onboard content and create events. Just to kind of address our uptake since launching. So, you know, back in summer of 2021, we raised 2.2 million in a private SAFT round from offshore accredited investors. So no regulatory filings, no Reg D, any of that stuff. You know, immediately on TGE Day in September 2021, we were the #1 trending token. We went on a few days later to execute Busta Rhymes and Young Blue's first NFT campaigns. Young Blue went on later in the year to be, you know, best new artist on virtually every award show there was. We partnered with DKNY. That was our first experience, you know, partnering with a big brand and getting to understand from a, you know, global fashion conglomerate, you know, what's important about, you know, some of the data and analytics that, you know, big companies like that would look for from, you know, their in-game metaverse, you know, stores and, you know, presences. We were the #1 token trading by volume on Mexi and BitTrue during our 2022 Grammy and Oscar events. You know, it was a week-long event between, you know, Vegas and Los Angeles. In terms of, you know, our community, we've got over 43,000 followers on Twitter, 22,000 on Instagram, about 5,500 active members in our English-speaking Telegram chat, and a little more than 2,000 in our Vietnamese Telegram chat, where we've got a huge market. Also, Turkey is a pretty strong market for us. We've got over 544,000 coin market cap watch lists, which places our token at number 159 out of nearly 10,000 tokens that are out there. We have actually converted more than 500,000 contest entries, which is, you know, one of the ways that we make our best effort at marketing and onboarding new communities. It's something we've had a lot of success with. In fact, you know, our first contest got nearly 200,000 entries for a NFT with Busta Rhymes that within 24 hours was selling for like something crazy, $28,000 or $22,000 on OpenSea. And our tokens enjoyed a little more than $100 million for the token volume since our inception. Our partners, I'll just run through some of them quickly. You can see who they are: Security Research Group, DKNY. We integrate with Ready Player Me. King Diesel Management Group, who's a concert promoter that we're working with. Swallow, who provides access to a ton of artists for us, as well as tattoos and different designs for avatars. Vulcan Forge, who helped us out with planning and development. And also one of the chains that we'll be launching our game on is their new Elysium chain. We work with Quant Block on the design of our token ecosystem and some of our in-game DeFi mechanics. Goons of Alatroon's one of our partners in our NFT project. Chop Stars is a DJ collective that manages like 3,000 DJs across the country, hundreds of podcasts, and they're a content partner for us. NFT the movie, we're actually being featured in some projects they're working on. DigiWax is another digital distribution music company that's a content partner for us. Edie does some development work with us in terms of the metaverse. Gamepad's a research partner. Darkpool Events and Rare Tech, who we've partnered with and integrated on a really cool video player, which allows our users not only to go to the metaverse to watch events, but after they're done to be able to replay those events or those concerts as NFTs through a encrypted, really high compression video player that's kind of a derivative of the Apple open source player that Netflix uses. So it's really, really cool and has great security, which is really important in entertainment when you're dealing with some of the biggest stars in the world, because you're gonna have a big problem with licensing and with lawsuits if someone's able to pirate or able to access the metadata without secure encryption. Some of the artists that we've worked with, I'll just briefly breeze through these: Nikki B, Styles P, Keith Murray, K Major, Graph, Loose Cannon, Young Blue, Busta Rhymes, Hazel E, B1, Stevie Curry, on top of over 120 amateur unsigned projects that have self-minted with us on our platform to date. Our investors are SGN Capital, Havings Capital, Bull Perks, Magnus Capital, Vendetta, June, GDT 10 Ventures, as well as a host of big influencers within the crypto space and many co-founders of other projects. Our business model, is really based on a volume-driven revenue model, which means that a majority of the money that we make comes from microtransactions, scrape between transactions, between our users. And our goal here is to build a sustainable, self-growing economy and make sure that our users can enjoy many or most of the parts of our ecosystem for free, but be able to reward them and help the ecosystem through their participation. The portion of our ecosystem revenue is constantly used as kind of a proactive fiscal policy, meaning it goes back into token buybacks and burns and things to promote active liquidity in our token to make sure that that in-game economy and currency is vibrant. When your token falls too much and the rewards are too low, sometimes the play to earn gets to be not too interesting. So we've got a model around that designed by Quant Block. And in simple words, really, the more active HUSL users are, the greater positive impact they're going to have on our model, and the better we're going to reward them. And as you saw before, the more things they do with us and the more verticals they touch and they integrate with, the better they're rewarded and the more multipliers that they're going to receive in our P2E model. So, our revenue streams, obviously our marketplace transactions, we're earning a percentage of NFTs sold, minting NFTs, cross-chain transfers of NFTs and in-game assets, taking a rake on person-to-person games and bets. So for instance, if a contest requires everybody put in one HUSL and there's 20 players, the winner takes all, we're taking a small rake from that, similar to a poker game, let's say. The direct revenue streams are obviously our marketplace revenue, land sales and royalties, premium NFTs in terms of our curated content, also in-game assets, buildings, decorations, tools, all the things you sell within games, sponsorship revenue for concerts and other events that we run, as well as sale of anonymous data analytics. our key performance indicators that, kind of guide how we run our business. We're looking for average daily transactions, active monthly users, community growth, GitHub commits in terms of track our development progress, volume of our locked liquidity, how many unique wallets are we capturing and retaining, NFT sales volume, user retention, development costs, user acquisition costs, as well as, revenue per FT or full-time employee. Some of our, big AI development initiatives, and I apologize, I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get through all this. I know we're short on time, and I think there's some other projects left to go. The big things that we're working on are, procedural world generation, NPC generation, quest and mission generation, item and loot, generation and placement, storytelling and dialogue generation via our NPCs, creating, dynamic events and encounters, natural language interactions with storefront owners and, other players within the game, NPC players within the game, economy and trading, and, using AI to balance the buying and selling and liquidity metrics within our token economy, dynamic storytelling in terms of creating new lore and stories, as well as, anti-cheating and security metrics in concert with our partners over at Security Research Group, who, all have experience at high level, Department of Defense, NSA, CIA, FBI, et cetera. So they're really an amazing partner for us, as well as for musical composition and other innovative kind of music technologies related to our Hustlers project, as well as others. One of the things that we have is the ability for people to jump up on stage and, grab instruments off the stage and play them with their keyboard or the controller. And we're working on being able to plug in MIDI instruments so musicians can actually play those, with their keyboards at home, record those sessions, with the other players. But we're working on the ability for NPC kind of stand-in musicians to be able to jump in and create the missing pieces and the stems to the songs that you're creating and filling gaps, which we think is going to be really innovative and really engaging. In terms of our current capital raise, we're offering 12% of the hustle for 4.8 million at a valuation of 40 million. Those funds are going to be used to support ongoing development of our tech stack, token liquidity and market depth initiatives, new exchange listings, et cetera, marketing and user acquisition, of course, content and events, team expansion, salaries, as well as integrating, many of those, generative AI integrations that we believe are also going to be necessary to stay relevant in the industry. Are going to make our game more engaging and user retention stickier. I'll kind of close there and I guess open it up for questions and or criticism.
Wow, I'm floored. Okay. Well, first of all, I've known Matt for several years. This is our second venture I think we've been working on. And Brian, I got to know you pretty well over this past year. If you don't make this a unicorn, I'm going to be super angry at both of you. So that's my first hit.
What was that?
This doesn't become a unicorn, you two I will never speak to either one of you. So this is amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Matt's been showing me, he was chasing me down at Consensus to show me more and more and more stuff that you built. And I was like, okay, I'm overwhelmed already. And, it took almost 50 minutes to hear this out. That's how much you built. Okay. Now we need to make it a 7 to 10 minute presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm
It's
thinking.
awesome. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it is, if people don't invest in this, I don't know what they're going to invest in. So the one thing that strikes me is that you have different components of the business that are kind of up and running and ready to be sold basically to the users. But it seems to me that, this big one is the music, because you have Sapphire, and you have all these other top tier musicians already in the ecosystem. And that's a big deal, right? So maybe if we can refocus this on music and just, from the perspective of this, this is what the music business is today. And yes, with the NFTs and the royals of the world and, A16Z's investing in the space, we now know musicians don't get paid. We now know musicians don't get paid
Right.
well. They have some touring revenue, some ancillary revenue, but they don't get like the gist of their creation revenue, right? So how's that changed? Just in the last couple of years. But really, what you're building is how this is going to change for the next 3 or 4 years, right? So you're seeing a market that's going to be enlarged, extremely quickly. And how do you position yourself to be that market? To be that market for the musicians, for the hustlers that doesn't exist today.
And that's exactly the market that we look to address. And that's why we created that kind of 360 offering where it's like, the marketplaces aren't offering any kind of utility or any kind of metaverse or play to earn. Really, there's nothing to do with their NFTs. The metaverses have, 8 people a day because they're not providing engaging experiences, or their graphics are garbage, or, any host of reasons why they're not capturing customers. And that's why, we kind of took a pause with, marketing and launching a lot of these initiatives. And that's why it kind of seems like we're stacked with a lot of content ready to deliver now, because we really haven't put any money into marketing over the last year. 100% of it's gone
Zero.
And we stopped paying ourselves kind of to be cognizant of our burn and, to make sure that we were able to weather, however long the crypto winter was, and able to stay ahead of the curve and compete against, some of these competitors like Audius that raised, $65 million, or, Yuga Labs with their billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? And, I think that we're in a position now where we're coming out the other side with great tech that's as competitive as anyone's as it relates to the metaverse. Like I said, innovative generative AI stuff, which we've been working on for a year, so we're way ahead of the curve on that. As well as the no-code marketplace that allows, amateurs to come in and immediately have access to all these things that some of the biggest stars in the world only have access to, which is creating your own NFTs, being able to create, metaverse concerts, having your, music featured within mobile apps so that you can reach new communities. All these things that, again, going back to that first slide, help our creators kind of grow and connect those Web3 audiences and introduce their existing audiences to Web3.
So if I step back from all of this, trying to find the 7 to 10 minute view, on just the enormity of what you guys have built in like 2 years or 1.5 or whatever, is basically, I almost see like a map of what, a creative, an independent musician or a top tier musician can earn in terms of revenue. What's their business model today, and the business model in the hustle? I would start with that slide. I would say, this is today, very kind of limiting. And, I wouldn't even worry about the fact that Royal exists or Audius or whatever. I would just go into the hustle, version of this. And you would have the generative AI. I think generative AI, I would lead with that right now, because virtually no one has integrated it very quickly. I think Lisa's done a great job on her DeFi company, and it just changes the whole playing field for her because it makes it accessible. I think the fact that you have these compositions by top tier artists readily available, that's a killer app. You start with that and you say, this is a new world where you don't have to be, just selling one stem at a time or one composition at a time or pitching to a limited number of buyers. You can go to the world with your creation. You can use generative AI to enhance it and then offer it, in these large quantities to the world that wants to create music. And I feel that's going to change the market for the music. It's going to grow exponentially from where it is today. The metaverse applications and how you can integrate your physical and your digital world, and I think that's kind of where you are. I think you need to really connect the dots on all the new ways that a musician, an artist, a hustler can make money and distribute their creativity to the world. It's sharing that creativity for the world while having a business model. That's the killer app, I think, for this. And then you're not really going to be compared to anybody, because who cares if someone can have music NFTs and good division on royalties? Like, who cares when you have all these other ways of monetizing? So that's where I think we need to get to. But I'm loving everything. It's amazing. It needs to be sold, and it needs to be sold as chicken McNuggets, because it's too much to understand, it's too much to understand everything that you have. Once you get in, the games are like amazing. I wanted to play that little bouncing game. It was like drawing me in, but maybe you do that as an aside. Like, say, we also built some games for the users, but maybe focus on the prosumers first. Lisa, you have some points you want to make? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not held back. I'm making them. So I really thought your pitch style was good. Like when you presented the deck, I was like, oh, I wish you could present my deck. So really, like, conviction came through, and just like, this is a no-brainer, guys. This is what you should do. So I really like that. Like the way you talked about your competitive slide. I can't remember the other highlights, but there were some things at the very beginning where I was just like, yeah, that's definitely the way to do that. The fact that you have Sapphire there, and you have the his 200 million views or plays, made me go look at some of his videos. Nice saxophone playing. So that's really compelling. And then I thought at the end, where you have the what you're asking for, was also really good. Although I don't know if we want to put the valuation in there. We talked about that.
No valuation, my private equity friends, because we want to negotiate with this market. I would not put the value. I would put, and I don't know why 4.8. I would maybe say 5 million, just round number.
So just throw out how much money you want, not what you're willing to sell it for.
Yes.
I just did the math, but you wouldn't even put like we're selling 12%.
No, I would not put any valuation, because I used to work for Milken, was straight out of business school, and he said,
and the truth is, we're likely going to lead with a safe, right, with a discount.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, we're probably not going to price right away anyway.
With the rolling close and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he would say, take the money when the market gives it to you, and we just want to see what the market will give us for this, basically.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's excellent. I think the work now, between now and the 23rd, is to make a 7 to 10 minute presentation that's going to blow your mind about what a musician can earn and do today and within the next 3 years versus the last, 50, 100 years, whatever the model was. That's going to be, I think, just world changing. You want to own that vertical of basically helping the musicians, the artists, get to the next level quickly, because these technologies are overwhelming even for us, and we live in this world. Like, I've been in innovation my whole career. This is just overwhelming to even analyze. Imagine if you're an artist who also has to produce music and be creative. This is overwhelming too, but you will be the guide, and you will help them build their business so they can, produce their art.
Right. Couple of clicks, build your little house in the metaverse, load your Shopify store, create your NFTs in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's really all about for us, is simplifying that process.
Yeah.
So that they can connect with the audience that's coming to play mobile games, coming to consume, right? Because it's solving the problem both for the creators, but also the consumers. They're bored.
Yeah.
They love music. Have you ever been to a party with no music, or a football game with no music, or, virtually a movie with no score? They're boring, right? So that's what we bring to the metaverse, I think, that's different from the other. And you're right, we're 100% music driven. And, if I had it my way, we'd be the Live Nation of the metaverse, with concerts all over the place, and, music studios and everything else. And, we left it open so that we can explore other verticals. We're working on film things as well. But yeah, music is really at the core of everything we do.
So it's so interesting when these next generation, niche networks, which is what, metaverses are, right, come about, then it starts out with some sort of a interest in X, Y, or Z. So you have people building interest if they're in gaming, people building interest if they're, trying to do live performances, etc. But the second level, when people start thinking about how to create these niche interests, it's surrounding brands like musician brands or creator brands. And this happened to us when we at KPMG. And so what you want to do is allow the brand to build whatever it needs to build in this metaverse based on that brand's attachment with their kind of fan club, if you'd like. And so it's hard for someone who's a creative to do anything that's business-like, technology-like, and all these other things that you need to know in order to participate. And you are just going to be that guide through all of that, helping them. And I think that's the killer app for this. Everything else, the games are awesome.
In terms of the presentation, what do you think about like the stuff around the token? And because looking for things that I could cut, right? I mean, we've got like 25 slides or whatever there, right? I obviously need to get to less than half of that. So it's like, what are the parts of the presentation? I know that, Lisa had mentioned, maybe cut the videos. That's fair. Obviously, they're a little awkward in the middle, right? And they take up a lot of time. I definitely did want to just very quickly demonstrate how easy it was to use the platform. Could probably do without the trailers and stuff like that. You could take a look at pictures, I think, and get a sense of the graphics.
I thought the demo was great, but it's hard to fit that in 10 minutes. But if you can fit it in, it shows that you really have a product.
And that's really what we're trying to drive home is that, there's a lot of pitch decks out there, but we've actually built a lot of this stuff,
Yeah, so maybe what you do is you do a very short video at the beginning or at the end, so it's not interrupting your presentation.
Exactly.
But it's a beautiful, these are beautiful videos. Like the one that had music in it was really great. And if there is a way of showing that this is somehow connected to helping musicians get into this new world, that would be helpful. I think we're very close. I have an 8 o'clock hard stop. I have to get on another call. Let's schedule a call for next week to go over a revised version, but I think we need to get it to 7 to 10 and focus it on this musician space. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to start with more and then start taking the axe to pages. So look forward to your help with that. That's great.
Yeah, but you do have to have a token in it. Like you have to explain your current.
That's what I mean. There's so much going on. I've got to like kind of address it all, but it's like, what are the parts where I can just put 5 bullet points and move past it because my audience already knows that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do I have to explain what the metaverse is? Like, probably not, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it. And we'll talk about that. So thanks so much.
This is so normal, like with people like yourself and Matt and everyone I've been, I've met in your group. It's like, you're so smart. You're on, multi-level calculus going on in the head and trying to, simplify it for investors who don't know your space, don't know your technology, don't know any of the stuff that you know. So that it's just kind of like simplifying the story, but it's all there. Nothing is missing in your presentation. Let's just say that. Great job, you guys. You worked
Mariana,
hard. Yeah.
Sorry, I know you have a hard stop. Is there any way we could just get that recording to review and
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'll send you a link. Yes, of course.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good job. Thanks, you guys.
Appreciate it.
See you soon, everyone.
Thanks, guys. And thanks for the feedback, everybody. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Duke.